Did you know that IEW has an advanced writing curriculum? Well, if you've been homeschooling a while, you are familiar with the Institute for Excellence in Writing. It comes up from time to time when we're shopping for writing curriculum. And today I'm going to share with you how the advanced IEW is similar and different from the regular IEW. Hi, I'm Rebecca with the Parent Teacher Bridge, where you can find the ideas and resources you need to empower you to be your child's most influential teacher. Today I'm talking about writing curriculum, IEW. That's Institute for Excellence in Writing. We're comparing and contrasting the regular version from the advanced version. We're going to be flipping through both books, so you're going to get to see what you may be interested in purchasing before you actually purchase it. By the end of this video, you're going to know whether you want to have your child do a basic version of the IEW, or if you want to branch out and challenge your child a little bit more with the advanced version. And you really have to watch when you're purchasing these that you get the student book. They do have teacher manuals. If you've gone through this before, you may not need a teacher manual, but if you haven't, definitely look into that. So what I'm about to show you is a walkthrough of both books side by side. Here are some things that we're going to show you. We're going to cover the blue page with the downloads. We're going to go over the scope and sequence. We're going to go over what is a keyword outline. We're going to go over the daily assignment schedule and how you can modify that for your own child. We're going to go over how each lesson has a rubric or a checklist. We're going to go over how they guide you in the MLA format and the appendix. And then we're going to show you the vocabulary section. All right, let's get started. So here we have the regular U.S. history-based writing lessons, commonly used in grades 4, 5, and 6 if you do classical conversations, but you can use it in the upper grades if you need to. This one is the advanced version. They both are history-based. I used this one with my 4th grader this year. I used this one with my 8th grader this year. You will notice that both of them come with a blue page where you get downloads. Now, if you're buying this book used from someone, you may not have the same access to the downloads. In the basic one, the most useful download I've seen offered is the simplified source texts in case you have a struggling reader and they need something shorter and more simple to use rather than some of the articles that you see in here, like this one, for example. Okay. In the advanced, the most useful thing is the student resource notebook because it is 110 useful pages of resources that they can refer to in a binder if you print that off and stick it in a binder. Okay, let's compare the scope and sequence of both of these. You will notice they're used in units. Over here I kind of put some dates to just kind of help myself. They both go up through 30 weeks. Yes, they both go up through 30 weeks. You can spread that out if you need to, okay? If you notice on the basic IEW book, they are introducing a new style or feature of your writing, and it's showing where it's first introduced, and you can see it spread out over the weeks. So it's a slower pace. They also will write down what vocabulary words you have each week, okay? And we'll talk more about vocabulary later. And they have a literature suggestion column. I never really got around to using that with the basic IEW. Now let's look at the advanced. In the advanced, they kind of assume that you've already covered some of these styles before. And so they're just kind of from the get-go basically touching on them and reviewing them, but then you're using them right away at a much faster pace, okay? They both cover history topics, of course, but they have 2 columns for literature. So I'm going to talk to you about how we use that this year. Now, for that literature column in the advanced version, we only used the basic list. That is what the teacher determined in the tutorial, and I was really glad that we did. It gave us some weeks where we could just choose a novel of our choice But then, for the fall semester, it had us reading a very large book that we had to go through. If we had to do that in the advanced, it would have been a lot more heavy reading. But, if you have a reader, you might choose to use the advanced literature list that they give. And of course, they're okay with you, switching out some books. But some of these books have writings that are assigned that are based on the books, like a critique or a character analysis. They do not list the vocabulary words in the advanced, but as you can see, they're still listed here. Both of the books are going to give you suggestions for how you can pace out your day, but I suggest that you go with your own flow. For example, if we had class on Tuesday, I would come home on Wednesday, the very next day after we had class, and my son would take his notes on Wednesday. On Thursday, he would write his rough draft, and on Friday, he would write his final draft. Okay, just looking at the first week, if you choose the basic IEW, you might start out with a very short source text. But if you choose the advanced, your source text starting out is going to be a little bit longer. And then you can see where they took notes. Basic, advanced. Okay? So I would not recommend the advanced unless you've gone through at least 1 year of the basic. Okay. You'll notice this one is incomplete. We were just short on time, and my son had already had 3 years of the basic book over here. So he already was familiar with ly adverbs, who, which clauses, and making your own title, okay? But if you're doing something new, it will give you a practice section where you can learn the skill. For example, here they had to practice ly adverb dress up, and then they had some pages to practice the vocabulary. When they were introducing the new style, like what a dress up is and what the ly adverbs are, they gave some suggestions. At the end of each lesson, you will have a rubric or a checklist that can give you some suggestions on scoring things. Now, this one is the basic book, and it may look like it's more complicated here because this isn't very busy here. But what that stands for is your first paragraph, your second paragraph, your third paragraph. So by the first lesson, they already have to write 3 paragraphs, okay? And they just have to use a couple of stylistic techniques in each of these paragraphs. This will get longer. This one will get longer. They only request that you have 1 dress up in your very first paper. And both of those do get longer. I love these rubrics. Now, if you're familiar with IEW, you've seen this rubric where it just has gray, white, gray, white. It doesn't always look like that in the advanced version. So I just kind of flipped it through. This one is lesson 12. This one is lesson 21. In the basic, it still looks the same. It's just longer with what they require, okay? And some sentence openers now in addition to your dress ups. In the advanced, it looks a little bit different. It says, okay, these are all the things you need in the body of your paper. Here are some things you need to include about your word choice, your sentence structure, and your conventions. So they're kind of expecting that you're doing some of these things already. They'll remind you from time to time, but they've expected that you've done at least a year or 2 of the basic. Now, you'll notice on my advanced, I just got some tabs from a dollar store so we could easily access the MLA format, grammar rules. Uncle Tom's Cabin was really big in this book for the fall semester, so we put it there so we could reference those helps. And then we have a vocabulary section, so let's look at that next. Again, this lasts for 30 lessons or 30 weeks if you choose. And these vocabulary at a glance pages are so helpful when you're writing your final drafts because you can go through and say, what words have I covered? What do they mean? A lot of times we still will use thesaurus.com, and they are 2 pages. Now in the back, this is one of my favorite parts. Both books have blue cardstock in the back with the vocabulary words from each lesson. And as you can see, they have the word, a sketch, and then on the back, they will have an example sentence, okay, in addition to the definition. So the definition, the example sentence, and then it has what lesson it came from. I've kept these in the books this year because I was very, very busy. But in years past, I have cut these out and I've hole punched them, used them as flashcards. You can play games when you do that. There's lots of vocabulary games that you can play that are very simple that help your child adopt these words into their vocabulary. Both books come with vocabulary quizzes that they give every few lessons. And again, you can notice the difference here between the basic book and the advanced book. The advanced has lots more words that they would need to learn. All right, what questions do you have? Drop them down in the comment section below. Remember, parents, there are lots of opportunities out there for homeschoolers. You can shop, shop, shop till you drop. There will never be anything as known as a perfect curriculum. Every time you get a curriculum, you have to look at the strengths and weaknesses that you have as a teacher and that your child has as a student. And sometimes that requires adjusting, maybe paring things down a little bit or supplementing and adding things to those. You are your child's most influential teacher. If this video helped you, like, subscribe, and be sure to share with a friend.